You know that feeling you get when something is just nickel and diming you right to death? Welcome to my Road to Moab video series. Let's go check out what I got. Intro. So I'm sitting here editing this video, and there's 2 points I want to make before you get into it. It's a long one. I'm going to timestamp it. If you want to see my individual kits down in the description, just click it. It'll take you there. 2, new drinking game. Take a shot every time I say it's good to have. Didn't realize I was doing it at the time. I said it a lot. It's crazy. You'll see. Let's get to the video. What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Big Apple Ranch. Today I want to show you the 3 kits that I've set up for our trip to Moab. Since the last video, I haven't done much to get ready for Moab. I've still got 3 months. It's coming up quick though. I only get about a week off a month to deal with all this stuff, so it's kind of getting down to the wire. All I've done this far is set up 3 kits: a first aid kit, a repair recovery kit, and a survival kit. Most of the stuff is going to be on the tank. I do have some things for the honey badger, but for the most part, that's all I've gotten done since the last video to get ready to go to Moab. Feel free to leave some suggestions down in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content. Let me get started with this first aid kit. We'll tear it down. I'll show you what I got. We'll move on to the survival kit, and then last but not least, I'll show you my recovery repair kit, and we'll wrap the video up. Hopefully it doesn't drag out as long as most of my videos do. Let's go. Well, alright guys, this is my first aid kit. I keep it stored in an ammo box. Ammo boxes are inherently waterproof. They're very, very secure. They're also incredibly durable, being made out of steel. So let me get into this and I'll show you what I got. In this Ziploc bag, I've got gauze, rolled gauze, gauze pads, and a lot of them. Ziploc, I was able to crush it down, get a lot of air out. That helps with storing it. I've got a bite and sting kit. It's got a little extractor for venom. I've heard that sucking out snake venom is an old practice that we don't use anymore, but regardless, I've got it. I've got a tourniquet here. We all know what a tourniquet's used for. It's to stop bleeding on a pretty deep laceration on a limb. It's not something that you want to have to use. It can cause damage if you don't use it right, but I have it. This is a CPR mouthpiece. This is for giving somebody CPR. You don't have to make mouth-to-mouth contact. I picked this up from an Army surplus store. This is just an old GI sewing kit. You never know. Needles, little scissors, thread, it can all come in handy. Surgical scissors for cutting gauze. Aspirin. Aspirin's good. Pain reliever. They say it's good for your heart. You know, it's good to have a little bottle of aspirin. In this Ziploc bag, I've got a lot of different band-aids. Big band-aids, little band-aids, stereo strips, fingertip band-aids, you name it. I've got a lot of band-aids in here. More often than not, this is the #1 thing going to be used out of a first aid kit. At least I hope so. Here I've got some metal pointed tip tweezers. Here in this Ziploc bag, I've got alcohol wipes, anesthetic wipes, some burn cream, some antibiotic ointment, just some general consumables. These are fingertip condoms. I've had to use these a few times. They're good for if you've got a deep cut on a finger and you don't want to get any gunk in there. After you clean it up and wrap it up, you can protect it from water and mud and muck with one of these rubber fingertip condoms. Here I've just got 2 different styles of medical tape. Bandaging somebody up, it's good to tape up. If you got to tape some gauze or whatever, this is good to have. Now here's probably the oddest thing I've got in the kit. An old rider, an old man that was working at one of the power sports stores I went to recently. I was talking to him about going to Moab and setting up a first aid kit and other kits and other parts that I might need and yada yada. And he told me, he said, make sure you've got some saran wrap. And so I was like, well, why? Why do you say that? He said, if you've got a deep cut or something, this saran wrap, you can use this, wrap somebody's arm real tight, and it'll do the job. It'll get them to the hospital. I thought it was a great idea. I went ahead and got this at Walmart. It's cheap, $2. Had a little handle on here. I just hacksawed it off a little bit just to give myself more room in the kit, but saran wrap. Here I've got some burn relief spray with lidocaine. I don't know about you, but I've burned myself pretty bad. It's good to have some burn relief spray. exhausts get hot, don't rest your arm on them. Got just an extra Ziploc bag here, just in case there's something to have. I've got a tiny bottle of Tums here. I get heartburn real bad, probably more often than most. It's good to have some heartburn stomach relief pills. Along that same lines, I've got a little box of chewable Pepto. Stomach problems can ruin a trip real fast. It's good to have something to answer for that. Hydrogen peroxide, your first line of defense. You get a cut out in the trail, you get it all muddy, it's all dirty, you want to clean it up. You clean it up as good as you can, you spray it down with some hydrogen peroxide. It should help prevent infection. Good to have. This is the smallest little spray bottle they had. Here I've got some children's allergy relief. Along the same lines as that, I've got some Benadryl allergy relief. More for adults, but can be given to kids. Same idea. No real allergies that I know of. It's a good first response for a bug bite or something like that. If something starts going crazy and you start swelling up. Good to have. The little spray bottle of Neosporin, Neo on the go. We got a cold compress here. You never know when you're gonna need some cold. Someone bashes their knee or shin on a hitch or something gets bad enough, hits their head. It's good to have some ice packs. And this is an instant one. You break it, it's one-time use. You break it, it gets cold. It's good to have. Here we've got some feminine products. I do have a wife. But more than that, if you have a puncture wound, it sounds crazy, but if you've got a puncture wound, this will work. It'll get you to the hospital. It'll help you. Little bottle of ibuprofen. Latex gloves. It's good to have some latex gloves in the event that you've got to work on somebody, you know. Bloodborne pathogens are a real thing and you shouldn't expose yourself to them. Got a couple of finger splints here. Maybe goofy, not necessarily top priority. This is a roll of that stick to itself tape. It's not real sticky, it doesn't stick, but it sticks to itself. So that's good for applying pressure to a cut or a wound. You can get some gauze in there and wrap it with this. I've got some bleed stop here. Can't say I've ever used this. Never used it. I saw it in the store. I thought it was a great idea. I have heard of it. It's a powder. Looks like you pour it on a cut and it will clot you up and stop the bleeding. I hope I never have to use it, but I have it. Got some earplugs here. It's good to have earplugs. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a first aid kit item, but it is an item. It's good to have. I've got 2 kids. I don't really know how loud it's going to be there. Probably good to have some earplugs. You just never know. You never know when you're going to need them, so I've got them. Got a couple of tongue depressors here. Good for impromptu splits. Got Benadryl itch relief stick for bug bites, you know. It's good to have. Mosquitoes suck. And itching those mosquito bites. You know, a lot of what I have, you got to remember, I've got 2 kids. A lot of what I have, if I was a single guy out on my own, I probably wouldn't even have a first aid kit, to be honest. If I was single, I didn't start worrying about people's well-beings until I had 2 kids. But if I was a single guy out on my own, I probably wouldn't have an itch relief stick. But with 2 kids, good to have. I'd like them to be comfortable. I want them to have a good time. We're trying to make memories here, and I don't want to make bad ones. So, got a couple of packages of cotton swabs here. Here I've got some iodine, kind of like the peroxide, good for cleaning up cuts and whatnot. Here I've got another set of tweezers. These are the cheapo plastic ones you can get. Here I've got a little bottle of new skin. It's just like super glue. Anybody that's ever super glued a cut. Here I've got a 3-inch elastic bandage. So that's it for the first aid kit on the tank. That's everything that was in this ammo can. It's empty. This is gonna be mounted to the tank. I haven't gotten as far as to figure out how I'm gonna mount it, but I'm gonna mount it to the tank. It's gonna be there. It's our main first aid kit. Now for the honey badger, I don't want to leave it high and dry. See, part of the challenge of this trip for me is trying to get 2 vehicles ready to go. I didn't quite realize what an undertaking that would be if I wasn't ready with either vehicle to go to Moab. Now, I could just go, but I don't want my kids or my wife to have a bad time. I don't want anything to happen that I can't address right there on the trail. So getting ready in that respect, hard to do with 2 machines. But for the Can-Am, because the mule is kind of the tank and it's going to be the heavy lifter, it's going to have a lot of stuff on it, the Can-Am is going to be light duty. Anything in the Can-Am is going to be real light, real quick, real easy, not the full kit of anything, but enough to maybe get the job done if anything happens and we don't happen to be together. So for the Can-Am, I've just got this little milsurp, cheap first aid kit. I'll throw it in the glove box or in the dry box on the back, and we'll get to going. Before we move on to the survival kit, this didn't really fit in a first aid, survival, or repair recovery kit, but it's a good idea to have fire extinguishers. Now I've got one for each machine, and I had to figure out a way to mount these fire extinguishers. See, my biggest thing with these machines is, in the event of a rollover, if it happens, I don't want anything that's in the bed of these machines to become a projectile and hurt the driver, the passenger, other drivers, other passengers, people standing around. I don't want anything to become a projectile. So anything I put in these machines, I want it to be mounted securely to withstand a possible rollover. That's when I came across these fire extinguisher mounts on Amazon. They're cheap. Don't ask me to quote you a price. I want to say $24.99, but all they are is 4 hose clamps, 4 big hose clamps, and 1 aluminum bracket. Now this aluminum bracket has a knob on the side. You pull the knob, and this V-shaped bracket, when you pull the knob, comes out and rocks down. So the way that this works is pretty simple and ingenious. You've got your fire extinguisher. You will hose clamp, there goes the box. You will hose clamp this bracket to the fire extinguisher with 2 of the 4 included hose clamps. This bracket gets hose clamped to the machine, probably on the roll cage. You mount it, it's secure, it's not going anywhere. When you need it, you pull the pin, you rock the fire extinguisher out, it comes out with this clamp to it, you pull your pin, you put the fire out. The only downside to this is, I noticed last night, this is loose, this little pin, it's threads into the big hole here. I'll probably just Loctite it and be on my way. It's a very good idea to have some way to put out a fire on a trail with your machines, and probably as far away from the engine as you can, but that's not always feasible. So it's a good idea to have a fire extinguisher. I've got one for each. Now then, survival kit. Arguably my favorite kit to put together of these 3. I've always wanted to build a sort of a bug out kit bag thing. This is not necessarily that. There are guys out there with really impressive bug out bags. This is just more of a, if I get stranded, if I'm off the trail, if something happens, I break down and no help's coming that night, I need to be able to make it sometime on my own, or on our own, as the case may be. So, shop towels, not really a survival item. Good to have, good for cleaning up, can work in a pinch. Toilet paper. I think I'm going to cut this roll in half to save on space, and it doubles the use time, I think. Usually they're a little too big for what I'm trying to do with them. It's just good to have something like that. Toilet paper. Toilet paper is a very good idea. You could be out on a trail, you could be driving down the road. I've got toilet paper in my vehicle. When things happen, right? And when you gotta go, you gotta go. It's good to have some toilet paper on hand. And the same line as toilet paper, some baby wipes. Just some baby wipes. It's not always for going to the bathroom, you know, you clean something up, clean up your face, clean up your hands, what have you. It's good to have something to clean up. Here I've got a trifold shovel. Now, could argue that this is more recovery repair than survival, but it's going to be with my survival stuff, so we're gonna call it survival. It's a shovel. You use it to dig yourself out if you get stuck in the dirt, mud, sand. You use it to bury your nasties if you gotta go in the woods. Use it for a lot of things. It's got these teeth here. You could try to use it as a saw. I think it might aggravate you more than anything, but it's a shovel. It's folds up real nice. That's one thing I like about it. It may be small, but it'll get the job done. It might take you a little more time. That's the thing with most of this kit. I didn't go all out on any of this kit. It's just nickel and dime me to death. There's nothing in this kit that was necessarily expensive or the best tool for the job, but it will all get the job done. If I need a shovel, would I rather a full-size shovel? Yes. But if I need a shovel and I have this, would I rather this than nothing? Absolutely. Here is the survival kit bag. I won the bag off of a Instagram contest. It's supposed to be a little range bag, a shooting bag from Ammunition Depot is where I want it. But it makes for a perfect oh crap bag. Rattlesnake Tactical is the name of the bag. So right up here in this elastic loop, I've got just a flashlight, just a quick little easy flashlight. Light's important, especially you get stranded at night. You're gonna want it. You can signal people, you can see where you're going, see what you're doing. It's good to have some light. In this front pouch here, I've got a whistle. Again, signaling people if you need to let them know where you're at, it's good to have. I've got 2 lighters. They're plastic. They break. You drop the bag and one cracks, one pops, you know, you got 2. Hopefully one of the 2 makes it. You need ways to start a fire. Me, I want more than one way of doing most things, so this is not my only way to start a fire in this kit. Right here I've got some fishing line. Can use it for a lot of things, man. You can use it if you got to stitch something up. It's good for that, and it's good to have some fishing line. I'm also, don't have them in here yet, but I'm going to throw in a few hooks and impromptu fishing. If you are stranded near somewhere with water and you can catch a fish, it's good to be able to feed yourself. 2 different loops. I'd say they're about 50 foot each of 550 paracord. Paracord is one of those survival items that don't scoff at it, man. Don't scoff at it. You can climb with it in a pinch. You can lash things down with it if you have to. You can use this with a tarp to make an impromptu tent if you have to. You can pull out the threads and use the threads for fishing if you have to. There are so many uses for paracord that it should be in everybody's survival bag, everybody's. If you're riding, if you're doing anything, you should have some paracord. Paracord is good to have. Here I've got a waterproof match container. This is that other way of starting a fire I told you about. There's a bunch of matches in there, and it's a waterproof container. It's nice, hard plastic. I don't foresee it breaking. It's good to have. It's got your strip there, and it's got extra abrasive strips in there to light the match if need be. Here I've just got a set 3-pack of hot hands. Right here is my first one of my 2 ways of purifying water. These are purification tablets to purify water, kill bacteria and all that. Onto the back pouch. Here in this back pouch I have my second way of getting clean water into the body. You've got a life straw. Life straws, you know, I've never actually used a life straw, but I've always wanted a life straw. So when I built this kit, I bought a life straw. Right here I've got a little survival kit. Here I've got bug spray. Here I've got my first cutting implement. It's just a cheap kit from Walmart. It's just a fixed blade knife, Ozark Trail, serrated edge in the back, straight edge in the front. But more importantly, it's got some paracord wrapped around it. That's always good, but more importantly, fire stick, fire starter, tungsten rod, whatever you want to call it. It's another way of starting a fire. If you need to start a fire, it's good to have multiple ways of starting a fire. You would be surprised if you didn't have a lighter, matches, or a tungsten rod, how hard it is to start a fire. Try rubbing 2 sticks together. Try starting a fire that way. It's very hard. Another cutting implement. This is just a UST Walmart axe. Just a little hatchet. And you get it out of the case here. It's got a little bottle opener here. It's got a little cutter down in there. You can cut some wire with that. It's got 3 different sized hex heads, just, you know, general tool if you had to. It is also wrapped in paracord, and it also comes with a fire rod, tungsten rod, whatever. Right here, I've got a compass. It's just good to have a compass. If you get lost, this in conjunction with the map, which I do not have yet, but I am ordering off of Amazon, a Moab trail map. It's got a bunch of information in it. This and a map should get you where you need to go. On to the very back, there's not much in here. It's got a strap that you can strap this to a belt or maybe a vest and make it work that way. But in this back compartment, I just keep one headlamp. Good to have. Again, just light. Good to have a light. So that's it for the survival kit. Well, alright guys, last but not least, I've got the repair recovery kit here. I'm gonna start out with the heaviest thing of the kit. and that is this high lifter jack. This is the high lift UTV model jack. It's the 42-inch model. Did not get the cover, and I wish I did. And I did not get the mounting kit to mount it to a roll cage, and I still might. I'm working on coming up with my own way to mount this to the tank, but for now I've got the jack. That's step one. You got to be able to change your tires, guys. You got to be able to jack your machine up. So here I've got a kinetic rope. It's a 20-foot 7/8 inch kinetic rope I got from one of the farm and ranch stores here. Spare belts, guys. This is a Can-Am spare belt. I haven't gotten one for the tank yet, but I will. This is for the X3. Have a spare belt for all of your machines. It's just a good idea. With that, don't only have a spare belt, have the tools to change your belt and know how to change your belt. Watch a YouTube video, figure it out, maybe do it once or twice while you're at the house. Know what you're doing when you go out to do it. There may not always be service out on these trails to YouTube it at the time, so have a good idea of how to change your belt. Don't rely on anybody else. Zip ties. Zip ties are very important. Zip ties save rides. You can use zip ties for a lot. It's good to have. I've got this package. I've got some more in the big kit over here. These will be in the Can-Am dry box, and I've got some zip ties over here in the box that's going to be on the tank. Some basic cheap electrical connections. I just picked these up today. I haven't gotten them in the box yet, but I've got these. Have a cutter, a stripper, and a crimper on it. It's just a cheap set to be able to make minor electrical fixes in the field. It's good to have. Your lights go out, something goes out, your winch. It's good to be able to rig it back together just to get it working until you get back somewhere where you can make a good professional fix. Now over here I've got this big kit. This big kit is for the tank. I'm gonna strap it down. It's got 2 locking DeWalt waterproof boxes, but for the Can-Am, if we get separated, I wanna be able to have some tools. That's where I've got this cheap Walmart tool kit. It's not very big, 107 piece, but it's got enough in there to get the job done. On to the big kit. I've got 2 waterproof DeWalt boxes here. The top box and the bottom box. We'll start with the top box. The top box here, it's got this top storage area, which I have nothing in yet, but it's got a nice little top storage area. You can store some stuff up there. Down here, I've got your essentials, your basics. I've got a hammer, a little ball peen. I've got a screwdriver with a bunch of different bits. They flip around. You can change your bits out at the ready. It's good to have. I might grab 1 or 2 more of these just to have multiple screwdrivers in the set, but a screwdriver that can do just about all of your screwdriving needs. I've got some really cheap box end wrenches here, some combination wrenches, metric and standard. I've got a little bit of spare wire here. I've got a flashlight. I've also got a headlamp here. I've got pliers, needle nose, and just regular pliers. This is one of them jump start boxes, cheapo from Walmart. It'll jump your vehicle, they say, about 20 times. I haven't used it yet, but it's charged up, it's ready to go. This can get you out of a bind, and it saves you room. You don't have to have jumper cables if you've got a jump box. Granted, you're relying on the jump box. Jumper cables are a little bit more, you know they're gonna work. If you've got somebody around with power, you know you can jump your machine. These, hit or miss. I've had one of these in the past, one of the bigger ones, not like this. It was more like the size of a suitcase, and it crapped out after about the 2nd use. So hopefully I have a little bit better luck with this. I've got a couple of vice grips, cheap knockoff vice grips. We got some diagonal cutters, good to have. I've got 2 adjustable wrenches, good to have. I've got paperwork on that jump starter. I've got a 3/8 inch drive set of Torx bits, good to have for the Can-Am. Just about everything on that Can-Am is held together with Torx bits, T30, T27, T40. Water pump pliers, channel locks, knockoff channel locks, good to have. 3/8 inch drive Allen wrench, good to have. I've got it just to match my 3/8 inch drive Torx set. Spare padlock. The dry box on the Honey Badger, both of these toolboxes I lock with these little padlocks. 1 key opens all 4 locks, so I'm using 3. I've got a spare here in case I need to lock something up. I've heard that theft is an issue in Moab. I've never been there, I don't know, so I just wanted to make sure I had a way to lock up my machine. This here is just a little driver set. It's got some sockets in it. It's got an extension and a flexible extension for the Torx bits that it comes with. It's got a T-handle style, it's got a screwdriver handle style, it's got flats, it's got Allen's, Torx, it's got Phillips, it's got, like I said, some sockets. Just a neat little kit. This one will probably get you out of the bind most. Is probably one of the ones I'll reach for the most, changing a belt or whatever, because both of these ratchet just kind of make it quick. I do plan on bringing cordless impact and a cordless tire inflator, but if anything goes wrong with those two cordless tools, I've got the manual tools to get the job done. That's the top box. Now for the bottom box. In this bottom box I have zip ties. I have a small can of WD, a small can of PB Blaster. I have a small tire slime kit. I have a very cheap Hyper Tough Walmart 12-volt compressor. I have another little bit set. This has got your Torx, square bits, Allen's, flats, Phillips. It's another, and a little extension. It's another one of those, you know, good to have kits. I've got my tire repair kit, and in this tire repair kit, I've also added a few things. I've got your plug kit and a couple 6 plugs. I've also got 4 spare Schrader valves. I've got a tire gauge. I've got 4 spare valve stems and the tool to take out the Schrader valves and install a valve stem if need be. It's my little tire repair kit. Should get you back to home camp, home base, maybe get your tire in and get it fixed professionally or replaced or whatever the case may be. I do not have a solution for sidewall damage in this kit, so I've heard sidewall slug is a good thing to have. Right now, that's all I've got. I've got a spare hitch pin. This is good. You could throw it. You don't need to have anything in your receiver. You can just loop your recovery strap through this hitch pin, through the squared tubing of your receiver, and you've got a mounting point right there. So I've got that spare hitch pin. I've got a little snatch block here. I've got 2 cable clamps just in case the winch line breaks or anything like that. Good to have. Got 2 clevises. It's good to have to help recover mounting points. You don't necessarily want to use these with your nylon rope, but you have them if you need them. They're good to have. Roll of duct tape. Duct tape. Anybody can fix anything with duct tape and WD-40, right? Well, not really, but it's good to have duct tape. If things fall off, things break, plastic maybe, you can tape it back together and get it back on. This is a little nut driver bit set. Good to have. I've got a Phillips and flat, and the rest of these are all metric and standard nut driver bits. They're magnetic. Small hose clamp assortment. Good to have. You blow a hose, you need to reattach it, something crazy. And hose clamps can be used for a lot, not just hoses. You can use them to clamp a whole lot of things. It's good to have. Torx set and 2 Allen set. 1 standard, 1 metric. Cheap of the cheap, man. They don't get any cheaper than this. Even the holders aren't even that good, but you'll be happy you have these if you have nothing else. If you lose things, drop them, or if you just need to get into a tight little spot that maybe the bits you can't come in straight, you need that little 90, good to have. Here and 1 here is a full set of metric impact deep well sockets, changing tires and whatever you need, whatever else you need to do. They're 1/2-inch drive. Pretty sure both my Kawasaki and I know my Can-Am, and I'm pretty sure even Polaris. Pretty much, I don't know if there is a side-by-side out there that uses standard sizes. Most of it's all metric, so I've only got the metric. I think that'll get me by. It's good enough. Up here, I've got, in this side, I've got just spare fuses, and just a few of them for now. Just some spare fuses and a fuse puller. It's good to have. Your lights go out again. A buddy's lights go out. It's good to have some spare fuses to get you back to town. This side, I've got single-use Loctites. I've got about 5 or 6 of them. I've got some JB Weld. It's good to have. You never know when you're gonna need to JB Weld something together. I've got 2 tubes of super glue, and I've got another tube of thread lock. Other than that, guys, that's all I've got for my recovery repair kit. I went cheap on this kit. it still costed an arm and a leg. Piecing this stuff together, even if you go cheap, isn't necessarily cheap. But I'm also not trying to bring my whole entire shop with me. There is a limit to what I'm willing to do in the field on a trail. Mainly if I break down on a trail or out in the field, my main goal is just, okay, the day's over, it's broke, let's get it back safely. What do I need to get it back to the house? So I didn't go all out on this particular kit, but it still wasn't cheap, man. Even the cheap Harbor Freight Tractor Supply tools, they add up. It'll nickel and dime you, but it's all stuff you're gonna wish you had if you break down. My biggest thing is, it's my first time there. I don't know anybody. It's just me and my family going. I don't want to continuously rely on other people. Now I know we're gonna be in a group. Other people are gonna have things too, and most of those people are probably gonna be nice enough to help you out. But I don't always want to be that guy that wants to borrow, take. I want to be somewhat self-sufficient, so that's what these kits are all about. That's everything I've got. That's my first aid. That's my survival. That's my repair recovery kit. That's everything. So that's it for today's Road to Moab video. I've still got to make these two vehicles street legal. I've got to get the turn signals, horns put in, and I've also got to figure out registration and get them on the road so I can make them street legal in Moab. Spare tires and rims for each, a whip for one, and I think other than all that, I think I'm pretty much ready to go. And I've got to figure out how I'm going to load these two machines on an 18-foot flatbed. So stick around. Thanks for checking me out. If you could think of anything that I don't have that you think is an absolute must for my repair, recovery, survival, or first aid kit, comment down below. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one. Stick with me on the Road to Moab. I'm out.